Hi, I'm Anna Bigornia. You're listening to Gut Talks, double GUTT. So Anna is actually a mix of everything. So Anna can sometimes be a designer. Anna can sometimes be a social media manager from the marketing back. Anna can sometimes, at one point, write user flows, write policies, and of course, do the whole product pipeline. So it's just about getting things done. So basically, if you want to get things done, a lot of people ask me how to get things done. So yeah.
Cool. So let's maybe go back a little bit in time and just, product management, being a product manager, being the product person, is a buzzword sometimes, but it's also a key role in many companies, in larger organizations and in startups, because it's the person who has to deal with lots of conflicts and lots of teams and lots of people nagging and lots of people thinking what they're doing is a priority, and sometimes there are different priorities. So it's an interesting role because lots of things can go on. You have to wear maybe different hats, and there are different, I mean, I'm not saying we're not talking about the role here or a definition or anything like that, but just the language around it, and what it takes maybe to be a product manager, and sort of this thing. I just want to put things into perspective because the role will be different in different organizations, obviously. It's not like one that's going to be the same everywhere. So how did you get started? I remember when we first met, you were into advertising, right? You were doing into media, videos, and so on. So yeah,
Yeah.
just take us a bit through that.
Right. So you're right, Maria. The product manager takes on a lot of different hats, putting fires out in a lot of different departments and a lot of building. I think that's the core of a lot of product managers, or maybe to say when I started. So I started out as a motion designer, which is really far, like from motion designer to a product designer. But a motion designer is also kind of like telling stories through language and visuals. So I was there in the room editing for TV commercials, working with the director, working with an account manager. So it's at that point, starting with that, it's already kind of balancing needs and wants, like prioritizing, making the work better, like moving on. So I was doing that before I met you. And when I met you, that's in Milan, actually, that kind of accelerated the perspective from creating to adding a bit more business acumen into getting things done. Like, what's the impact now of the product or the things you do? So, my journey to being a product manager is an evolution, really, like from a creator to getting things about business and then joining advertising right after that. So I joined BBDO as an innovations director, and there I got to learn to build products online, offline. Like at one point I was building a shed, at one point I was doing drones, at one point I was building like websites. So it's a lot of different things that you put together and a lot of different people that you talk to. So then that added to my toolkit of becoming a product manager. And so after advertising as well, but it's all about creating. So after advertising, I went to banking. Then I learned about a lot of corporate policies. So that's when the legalities came in, right? Like how it is to build, to set up, working with corporate systems, working with larger user base, and the impact of the business. So at that point, I really saw how the products I build, how it would impact user end and how we roll it, right? And right now, my journey is in a health tech startup, and that even more, building the product from scratch, building the product from one to maybe 5 different products, and wearing different hats to make it grow. Now I really see what I create and the impact of what I create. So being a product manager is, I guess, loving that. You must probably love to build things and love to see the impact of what you're building.
Cool. So you're saying you actually get your hands dirty. So you started doing stuff. So at any point in time, you can
Yes.
jump in, and like it's not about just reading something, whatever. It's like making it happen, basically. Um,
Yeah.
I'm just
Um,
gonna, yeah, go ahead.
no, a lot of things actually. So So sometimes like my role, especially with a lot of new technology coming in, it's all about learning quickly, right? You don't maybe need to know like the full stack, for example, of like blockchain layer 2, but you need to know what are the best applications for it and how you're going, the best way to integrate it. So it's a lot of learning and failing at the same time, and being able to get up once it's failed, and of course finding the opportunities for getting things moving. So as I would always say, if no one's gonna do it, who will? At this point, so you wear different hats, right?
Yeah, because you said you built, you designed journeys, you also built,
Right.
wireframes and prototypes and tested them, and like the whole
Yeah.
thing. So it's a lot of work with customers too, obviously. Lots of work with customers, reporting internally to the internal teams, and know how to talk to the different teams and
Yeah.
see how to get things done. What are the main challenges here?
So right. So sometimes the main challenge is actually when you talk to also the customers is to have that mindset of what can I do to help and make things better, and translating that to your delivery team, of course.
Yeah.
Translating that, because if it's not, the delivery team might make it might be easier for the delivery team, but not so good for the customer. Then it's on you as a product manager to be like, oh no, where did I go wrong? Because you'll see your usage drop. So one of the key challenges is, of course, um, continuously having that mindset of curiosity to make, and if it's not measurable, then you don't really know what the impact, right? You have qualitative data, quantitative data. So getting to know the impact of that data and how you're going to make it work. And of course, I think from what I've learned working in the startup, is getting things out fast, even if it's not the full scale feature that you want.
Yeah.
It's getting it out fast just to see if they like it or they're using it, or if it's something that you can jump.
Yeah, or improve and iterate. Yeah, that's one of the key
Right.
things of why also startups can fail in a certain way. When I see fail, it means like sometimes they lack funding, sometimes they're a bit too late to go to market and so on. It's because they want to get it completely right, and this is not going to happen if you don't put it out there. You won't know what the feedback is, and the feedback comes from different angles, actually.
That's
from
right.
how to sell it, how to present it, how to how people want to read it, how they want to use it in different ways, because you might have different use cases you never thought about. And this
Yeah.
is one of the major things. It's like, no, let's keep building it for the next 10 years and then spend all this money and then realize that, oh no, we should have done that before, or whatever.
That's right. And I mean, to add to that, so good point. Well, but the key also of being a product manager is to collaborate with all your different departments, because your insights come from
Yeah,
anywhere, right? It can come
for
from
sure.
right. It can come from people on the ground. It can come from the business development team who just talked to a client just fairly recently. So it comes from all of that, and you balancing to make things work also.
Yeah, I mean, let's try to visualize this. This is a really common, representation. You have the product manager in the middle, and then it branches out to the different teams,
Yeah.
and you're able to communicate with all of them. So now you're building, you said, one product that branched out into other products as well. And
Yes, that's right.
in the corporate world, you were building different products. So were you like
Yeah.
managing different products at this point, or there were different product managers, and how were the dynamics here?
Um, what do you mean in the current startup, like managing?
No, in the previous, in the corporate world, like in the
Oh, in the
banking. Yeah.
yeah, in banking, it was very different because in banking, of course, you have to manage risk factors. There's a lot of
Yeah.
legal, so it depends on the industry also that you're in, right? With banking, definitely you have to get things. It's not as flexible. Maybe in fintech it might be, but in like strictly banking, it's getting things right at like maybe 90% of the time. Of course,